Stop what you're doing because I have something really crazy to show you guys. You're not going to want to miss this. So this is the Sirius star, seen from a powerful telescope. Now doesn't that look oddly familiar to something we've seen? Exactly. Siri. Hey Siri, is the Sirius star actually 5.88 trillion miles away from Earth? Or is it actually a lot closer and more local, and something a lot more special like you've been hinting the whole time? Oh, no answer? She must be hiding something. Just like how the moon waxes and wanes in a 28-day cycle 13 times out of the year. So we should actually have 13 months, because the moon tells you the day of the month by waxing and waning in a 28-day cycle. And it happens 13 times in the year. So our calendar is completely out of whack. And that's why we're so disoriented in this modern day and age. And that's why all these new scientific discoveries have never actually helped any of us in the slightest, because it's all a bunch of BS. But of course, guys, I'm making all of this up and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I know for a fact the Earth is a globe, and all the space agencies are 100% honest about what the stars actually are. Of course.
The Earth is flat, stationary, and enclosed by a glass dome known as the firmament, which contains the sun, moon, and stars, all of which move, not the Earth. Above and below are waters. This isn't a conspiracy. If satellites were really in space, why would we need communication towers in the middle of the ocean? A compass only functions properly on a flat surface to differentiate between north, east, south, and west. Water always stays level and contained, with the Arctic Circle and Antarctica acting as barriers that hold the oceans in. The solid glass dome or firmament keeps the air inside, creating a sealed, airtight environment. The Earth doesn't spin at millions of miles per hour like a ball. The sounds of thunder booms are produced when solid objects shift. Even world leaders know this truth, as shown by the flat Earth map on the UN logo. Once again, it's the sun, moon, and stars that rotate from east to west, not the Earth. The people who taught you that the Earth is a globe are fully aware of and believe in the flat, enclosed system we all live in and that no one can leave. We're told that we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun in the heliocentric model at 66,600 miles per hour. On top of that, we're supposedly chasing the sun through space at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. According to this model, we're spiraling through an infinite universe, never in the same place twice. Now consider the Georgia Guidestones, which had a small hole drilled through one of the central stones. If you looked through that hole, you would always see Polaris, the North Star. But how could we be moving in so many directions, traveling vast distances, and yet that star remains perfectly aligned in the hole? It should shift out of sight constantly, yet it stayed in place for 40 years until one day someone blew up the monument. They say Earth spins eastward at 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. So here's a question. How does a plane flying eastward at just 800 kilometers per hour reach its destination? Shouldn't the ground be moving too fast for the plane to catch up? And what about landing? Imagine trying to land a plane safely on a runway that's supposedly zipping along at 1,600 kilometers per hour. Sounds risky, doesn't it? The official explanation is that Earth's atmosphere is stuck to the planet, held by gravity despite the vacuum of space above it. But think about this. If Earth were a spinning ball, pilots would constantly need to adjust for the curve. At 800 kilometers per hour, a plane would have to lower its nose by around 850 meters per minute to stay on course with Earth's curvature. Otherwise, it would be flying higher and higher, reaching about 50,000 meters in just an hour. Yet pilots don't make these constant adjustments. Once they reach cruising altitude, they level off and maintain a steady course until it's time to descend. No constant corrections for Earth's curve, just a straight level flight path. Doesn't that raise questions? If Earth were really spinning and curving, wouldn't we see constant course corrections? But we don't. It's a compelling clue that maybe things aren't what we've been taught. What do you think? If you're curious to dive deeper into these ideas, make sure to check out more videos on this page.
But when you see this stuff in America, you know what's really weird? All the state capitol buildings that don't really match up. Like, why did they build something that was straight out of ancient Rome in, like, Iowa? You know, like in Nebraska.
2,500 people live in a town somewhere, And they build a post office that has 700 rooms and is like an ancient castle. It's the same like with the Mormon temple where they said they went out to Utah, you know, with horse and buggy and nobody else out there. And they supposedly built this wonder of the world castle with no rails and no dump trucks and no cranes. And it goes down 40 to 60 feet underground with more building. And
even think about like the 1 year timelines. A lot of these buildings are 1 year wonders where they created this very elaborate stone building in 1 year. But then you think about some of these places that have 1 year timelines, and then they work in like Syracuse, you know, Albany, Syracuse, New York, these crazy places like that. Explain to me how much work they're getting done in the dead of winter when the roads would have been horrible. Then you add snow on it, and then the logistics make no sense. Even think, like I said, go back to World War II. We're told that the Germans were not necessarily defeated by the Russian army. They were defeated by the Russian winter. Yeah. Because even with the high-tech German stuff, they couldn't even move the equipment during a harsh Russian winter. Mm-hmm. So that is like the highest tech stuff in the 40s. And then you're talking about these things were built with horses and buggies in the 1840s.
Imagine if you woke up and you had none of the indoctrination of this. What would you understand when you observe what's really going on? And you know what's really going on? Nothing. Okay? We're right here, nothing. We're sitting still, non-rotating, we don't feel anything. They have to have hundreds of excuses on why we don't feel something or see something. We don't feel it because of gravity. One lie to cover up another lie. They have to have all these formulas and stuff about why we don't feel something, when it's really not this difficult. It is this simple. It's this simple. You have to have more faith, deep faith, to believe in this than you do this. This is simple. Yahuwah did not make it difficult, folks. The devil makes it difficult. Lie after lie after lie, they have to keep telling you. So we just get all confused in our minds and just stop it, break it down, stop it. We're right here. So now what would happen if they didn't have their theory of gravity attached to this globe? What would happen? Everything would float away? Nothing. Okay, we're right here. No gravity needed. Okay, and here's the thing. Can you feel gravity? I mean, do you know what gravity is? Or have you just been told there is no such thing? Just distance, everything is heavy, hits the ground. Feather will float because it's just lighter. I'm trying to understand, get yourself a flat earth starter kit. I'll tell you why, because it's not going to make sense here. Everything makes much more sense when you can compare the two. If you're trying to understand this geocentric world, the earth we live in, starter kit. Get yourself a globe, which these are easy to get. Get online, get yourself a flat earth map. On top of a flat earth map, get yourself a little plane. That way you can say, hey, do planes really dip their nose going around? Are people in Australia really upside down? How are rivers running north? That's a great question. Nile River, 4,000 miles. How is it going north? Up a globe, water to a ball. Get yourself a little flashlight. You can actually do this, and you can see our summer, our winter. Warmer here, colder here during our winter and their summer. Pretty simple. This, it doesn't work. This thing being tilted, so here's not tilted, and then axis. And then supposedly the sun's coming in more linear, so it's in summer. It's pie in the sky. It's formulas that don't make any sense, guys. It doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense here. Perfect sense. Watch my video below that I'm going to link for you on how seasons work. This isn't our word. This is Yahuwah's word. This is out of the Bible. We're just trying to spread the truth.
I don't know anything about this subject, so I'm just going to ask my audience. Can you tell me why there are no real, unedited, raw photographs or videos of Earth from space? And there are no photos or videos of any of the other planets that are unedited or raw photographs. Also, there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of satellites rotating around our globe, but we cannot detect any of them on any of the spacewalks ever presented to us in the history of spacewalks. Now, can you tell me why that this is possible if there are thousands and thousands of satellites rotating around space, looking like they're all about to crash into each other? This doesn't even seem like it's a logistical thing to do, but of course, I'm being just a conspiracy theorist, and I'm just asking questions. Like, of course rockets are real, of course they actually go into space, even though all of the photos of rockets aren't actual photographs of rockets, they're pictures. Discern the difference between a picture and a photograph, because all of these are animations and pictures. But of course satellites and rockets are real. It's just that there's not a single photograph or image of Earth from space that's unedited. Entertainment purposes.